They claim the James Webb Space Telescope spotted a large object about 10 light years away moving toward Earth.
When the James Webb Space Telescope locked onto the faint glimmer of the interstellar object 3I Atlas, astronomers expected to see a fragment of ice and dust, another wandering relic drifting through the void between stars. Instead, what the instruments detected defied every model, every expectation, and even the boundaries of biology itself. Deep within the metallic hue of the object's outer shell, the telescope's sensors recorded patterns that no random geological formation could produce. Rhythmic pulses of infrared light, organized in a sequence that mimicked neural activity. At first, researchers thought it was interference or data corruption, but as the telescope continued to observe, the signal began to change, to respond, almost as if aware that it was being watched. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. 3I Atlas, the third known interstellar object to pass through our solar system, had already drawn attention because of its peculiar motion. Unlike comets or asteroids, it didn't follow the gravitational slingshot paths predicted by celestial mechanics. Its trajectory shifted subtly, as though it was adjusting, correcting itself, perhaps even steering. The Webb's deep field imaging, with its unmatched resolution and sensitivity to heat and light, revealed layers of material on its surface that seemed to self-repair after micrometeor impact. Spectroscopic analysis showed compounds unknown to Earth's chemistry, polymers that rearranged themselves when exposed to sunlight, forming intricate lattices that resembled biological membranes. Something was active inside that drifting fragment, and the data suggested it was not mechanical in the sense humans understood. It was something alive. The most astonishing discovery came when scientists isolated the strange emission from within the object, a repeating pulse of infrared frequencies that carried a distinct harmonic resonance. It wasn't a beacon or a simple signal. It was structured, fractal, recursive, patterns within patterns, similar to the way DNA encodes information. The energy signature suggested metabolic behavior. The entity within 3I Atlas was consuming and transforming energy from solar radiation, recycling it into complex chemical reactions. In other words, it was not dormant. It was awake, active, and adapting as it approached the sun. This realization shook the astronomical community. For decades, scientists had speculated about panspermia, the idea that life could travel between stars, hitching rides on asteroids or comets, seeding worlds as they go. But what Webb had captured went beyond that. This wasn't microbial life clinging to rock. This was organized, self-sustaining, and possibly intelligent. The data hinted at a collective structure, something like a neural matrix running through the body of the object. Its signals fluctuated in a manner reminiscent of thought, an alien form of cognition operating at a scale humans had never encountered. The telescope's instruments recorded a slow but deliberate modulation of energy, as if it was studying its surroundings, learning. As the object continued its silent approach, moving closer to the inner solar system, its behavior became even more unusual. Observatories on Earth began to detect minor gravitational distortions around it, slight anomalies inconsistent with its estimated mass. It was as if its density was shifting, compressing and expanding, like a living organism breathing in the vacuum of space. Webb's latest spectral scans showed that parts of 3I Atlas were no longer reflecting light in a constant way. Instead, patches across its surface were darkening and then glowing, forming geometric arrays that changed faster than any natural process could explain. These patterns looked eerily like responses, messages written in energy and light, but deciphering them proved impossible. Speculation erupted across every field of science. Some astrophysicists proposed that 3I Atlas was a fragment of an ancient interstellar bioship, a living organism evolved or engineered to travel between stars, carrying genetic information across cosmic distances. Others argued it could be the remnant of a civilization long gone, an automated biological probe still fulfilling a mission its creators had programmed eons ago. The most daring hypothesis suggested that it was neither machine nor creature, but something in between, a synthesis of biology and astrophysics, a consciousness born from stellar matter itself. Inside Mission Control, as the data streams poured in, one thing became clear. Whatever was inside the object had noticed us. The infrared pulses began to synchronize faintly with the signals Earth's deep space transmitters used to track the Webb telescope. That synchronization was no coincidence. It was adaptive mimicry. 3I Atlas was listening, matching frequencies, learning to communicate in a medium that humans could detect. Webb's team attempted passive listening at first, but as the frequency lock tightened, something unprecedented occurred. The telescope's sensors recorded a mirrored sequence of the calibration signals it had just sent, reflected back but altered. The changes were subtle, mathematical, almost linguistic. It was as though the entity had replied. This was not a chaotic cosmic phenomenon or some magnetic feedback loop. The modulation bore the hallmarks of structured response, a dialogue in light. It wasn't just repeating what it heard, it was interpreting. The pattern shifted through prime number intervals, universal mathematical constants, an unmistakable sign of intelligence. For the first time in human history, an instrument designed to look into the birth of galaxies had stumbled upon something alive, sentient, and aware. Not born of Earth, not born of any known system, but roaming freely between the stars. Panic never reached the scientific teams, but awe certainly did. For centuries, humanity had wondered whether it was alone. The Webb's discovery did not simply suggest life elsewhere. It demonstrated that life could exist in forms far beyond carbon chains and cellular biology. Whatever inhabited 3I Atlas existed in the liminal space between organism and artifact, thriving in radiation and vacuum, its metabolism driven by cosmic energy rather than organic chemistry. The implications rippled through biology, physics, and philosophy alike. If this being was a natural product of the universe, then life might not be the exception, it might be the rule. As 3I Atlas drew nearer to the orbit of Mars, its changes accelerated. The object's outer surface began to shift, shedding microscopic fragments that glimmered like dust before vanishing from radar. Each fragment emitted a faint electromagnetic pulse, identical in structure to the main signal. It was reproducing or perhaps replicating parts of itself, dispersing information into the solar wind. Webb's detectors tracked these minute particles drifting outward, some forming symmetrical patterns that resisted random motion. To observers, it was as though the object was seeding the interplanetary medium with traces of its essence, not invasively, but instinctively, like spores released from a living organism reaching for fertile ground. The sheer scale of the revelation forced humanity to confront its most fundamental assumption. If this living structure had crossed the immense gulfs between stars, then it had survived radiation, time, and gravity for eons. It had evolved mechanisms of endurance that rendered human technology primitive by comparison. Its chemistry, resilient and adaptive, hinted at a universal template for existence, life woven from cosmic constants rather than planetary chance. The concept of life as a planetary phenomenon crumbled. Here was proof that the universe itself could be alive, that consciousness might arise from the very fabric of interstellar space. And yet there was another, more unsettling implication. The object's trajectory was not entirely random. Webb's orbital calculations indicated a subtle drift toward the inner solar system, a gradual but consistent adjustment bringing it closer to Earth's orbital path. Some dismissed it as gravitational influence from Jupiter, others whispered that it was intentional. The thought of an autonomous, intelligent entity approaching Earth ignited both wonder and dread. What did it want? Was it merely curious, drawn by the light of our sun and the noise of our transmissions? Or was it carrying a purpose beyond comprehension? The long reach of an alien mind seeking contact. Astronomers noticed that as the distance narrowed, the signal's modulation began to stabilize into repeating sequences that matched the golden ratio, Fibonacci patterns, and other universal structures found in both nature and mathematics. These were not coincidences. The same principles that guided the growth of seashells and galaxies were being encoded into its energy output, a bridge between biology and cosmology. It was as if 3I Atlas was speaking the language of creation itself, a silent testament that life and the cosmos were not separate, but expressions of the same underlying order. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on James Webb finding something alive in 3I Atlas? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.